Okay, so today we're going to talk about using the General Register Office. I've got it. To back up a little bit, just to give you some general background, that there are 3 C's in doing British research: census, church records, and civil registration. I've underlined civil registration because that's what you're going to find in the General Register Office. Now, what is a civil registration? It's a big word for birth, marriage, and death certificates, and you're probably familiar with those. These are taken by the government, or in the United States, the states do this, but civil registration is these great certificates. And the GRO, the General Register Office, is the England and Wales civil registration records. It's the repository of those records. Amazingly, and this is the exciting thing, in the British Isles, they started taking birth, marriage, and death records on 1 July 1837, very early. In the United States, states vary. In 1837, okay, we're back again. The records can be ordered from the General Register Office, and starting in 1837, you get birth, marriage, and death certificates. Pretty cool. Genealogical value of these records. I thought that we would look at some of the records in depth that I've ordered, and you can get a flavor for what you get. So here's a birth certificate that I have ordered. If you look at the top of the page, it says Registration District, Ashton and Oldham, and then birth in the sub-district of Ashtontown in the county of Lancaster. That's in Lancashire, England. Now, when they started doing this in 1837, the countries were divided up into registration districts to make it simpler. And there are sub-districts, in this case, it's Ashtontown. In the sub-district, if you happen to be in Ashton, then you can actually go to the registrar's office there, and she'll look through a book and she will get you the certificate right that day for a minimal cost. Unfortunately, we probably don't have that luxury, but I just thought you might know that if you're ever in England, you can go to the local registrar's office. We are going to learn how to order it from your desk at home. So looking more carefully at the actual certificate that I ordered, you can see on the left-hand side, in the left-hand column, it's a column number. It's the number of the certificate that's insignificant genealogically. When and where born you get. So this is the 28th of December, 1841 on Catherine Street in Ashtontown. So we know actually where the birth occurred. First name was Elizabeth, and she is a girl. And she, let's see, I really can't see with the recording thing up there. Are you all getting the picture of this meeting is being recorded on my screen?
Yes.
Is there any way I can move that?
You grab anywhere in the black area and move it.
Okay, let me do this. Okay. No, we just won't be in full screen. Okay, so girl, the father is George Marlin. So now I know Elizabeth's father's name. The mother was Sarah Marlin, formerly Ward. So I've got her maiden name. You can see the value of that. Often women get lost because we can't find her natal family with her parents because we don't know what her last name was. This is super great. George was a cotton dresser and cotton yarn dresser. And let's see if I've got the next page. Yeah. And then you can see he signed it with a mark, the father, on Catherine Street, and then when it was registered and the name of the registrar. So that's a birth certificate for you. Let's look at a marriage certificate. Here's a marriage certificate, 1899. The fun thing about this is marriage solemnized at the Mount Olivet Chapel in Lidgett in the district of Todmorden in the county of Yorkshire. And then if you'll look down here, married in the Mount Olivet Chapel. That doesn't sound very Church of England-y, does it? It's because it was according to the rites and ceremonies of the Baptists. So you can find actually whether they were nonconformists on these records. Pretty cool. So here's Emma Ingham, and she's married to William Marshall. It tells their ages at when they were married. Sometimes it just says a full age, and that means they were grown up. They were 21. He was a bachelor and she was a spinster. That wasn't a pejorative. She was just unmarried and he was unmarried. If they'd been married before, it might say, you know, he was a widower and she was a spinster or whatever. He was a cotton weaver, as was she. These were their addresses, the places where they were living at the time of their marriage. And then it gives the names of the fathers only of each of them. So this says Thomas Marshall, who is deceased. So we know that his father had died by 1899. Then we find that Emma's father was Ormerod Ingham. And then we get both of their professions, which was important. It's an important thing to be able to identify them with. So another thing to look at, we've got this marriage solemnized between us and in the presence of, and you can see there's some names. I'm not sure who the Stansfield was in relationship to them, maybe just a friend, but maybe some kind of relative. But Martha Alice Marshall was, I'm guessing, related to William Marshall. So all of these little clues on this one little document, it's pretty cool. Just looking closer in case you couldn't see any of that. Breaking it down a little bit. And he was a picker maker. If you see something weird like that, like what was a picker maker, go online and Google it, and it will tell you what a picker maker was. Pickers were leather straps that they used to attach the loom to its frame, and he made those. So here's a death certificate. We've got the district Ashton and Oldham, and this is the registrar's district, Oldham below town. And then let's see, in the county of Lancaster, we've got Phoebe Ward and her death. Death certificates aren't as, full of information, but they're still very important. She was a female. She died at age 29. Now, I was looking for an older Phoebe Ward. This was not the right certificate for me, but it's progress because I know that this is wrong. She was a single woman. She died of typhoid fever. This is the name of the person who informed of her death, the informant of her death. Sometimes that's a father or a husband or mother. In this case, I'm not sure how James Kearns is related to her. Maybe the doctor, maybe a friend, I don't know. And then when registered, 5 days after the death, and then the signature of the registrar. Okay. So how do you order a certificate? Before you can order a certificate, you need to go to an index. And there are several indexes available. The GRO website itself has an index. I don't like it. Family Search has an index, but you can't access it online from your desk. You've got to go in to the Family History Library or to a local family history center. So what I'd like to suggest is to use a website called Free BMD, Free Birth, Marriage, and Death. It's not really free certificates, but it's the index. so that you can order them. This is what their website looks like if you go there. You come right to the search page. You can see that you can search births, marriages, and deaths, or all of those. Let's look at the right-hand side first. Actually, you've got the districts and you've got counties. Now, a lot of times, I don't think I've ever known the registration district before ordering a record. Sometimes I've had a pretty good idea of the county. If I do, I put that, but usually these are blank unless the name is John Smith, and then you better narrow it down some. But I'm fortunately not, I don't have many Smiths in my line. So then you put in, you check what type you want, and I'll show you this in a minute. Put in the information, and then you click find. So when we're doing this, let's think about the research strategy that we're going to be using. And so to do that, I'd like to go back to the certificates that we just saw. Now here's Elizabeth Marland. She's actually an ancestor of mine. She's a sister of my great-grandmother. When I started researching, I knew that Sarah Marland and her daughter Phoebe, who is my second great-grandmother, sailed for Boston in 1842. There was another passenger with them, however, named Elizabeth Marland, who was 1 year old. Who was she? I didn't know that. Because she was 1 year old in 1842, I assumed she was born in England. I wanted to just make sure that she was Phoebe's sister and Sarah's daughter. So here's the search page. I put in Marland I put in birth, first of all. I put in Marland for the surname and Elizabeth for the first name. I put in the date range of, and here we ought to talk about this. The dates are done quarterly. So you've got March, and you've got June, and you've got September, and you've got December. And March means all births between January and March. June means all births between March and June. September means all births between June and September, and on. So December is September to December. So I knew Elizabeth didn't appear in the 1841 census with a family. So I knew that she was, and the 1841 census was taken in June of 1841. So I knew that she wasn't born before then. So I put in March 1841 to December 1842, which includes the time that they were, that they left. So I kind of narrowed it down. I also put in Lancashire because that's where they were in the 1841 census. And these are the results that I came up with. There's Elizabeth Marland, her birth, December 1841. Now remember, that's anytime between September and December in 1841 in Ashton. That sounds right. There's Elizabeth Marland in Ashton as well. There's one in Bolton. I'm going to cross her off because I'm pretty sure they were in Ashton because of the census record. The March 1842, that would be a possible one, but actually the one that I ordered was the December 1841, which would have fallen just after the census was done and would give her time to be 1 year old by the time she sailed in 1842. And this is the certificate that I got. And this was the correct one because there's Sarah Marland. And this is how I learned Sarah's maiden name. So very cool. Another research strategy here is on this.
Wait a minute, go back if you would.
Sure.
You did? Okay, so you looked up her record in that index, but then from there, how do you order it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. We're just going to look at research strategies and then we'll tell you exactly how to do it. And I hope I have enough time. So here's the marriage record. I wanted to know, okay, Emma was Mary Ingham's sister. Mary's the one I'm more directly related to. I could not find Mary Ingham's father because Mary is a pretty common name. Ingham's a pretty common name. I didn't know how to find her father, but if I found Emma's father and I know that Mary's the sister, I have found Mary's father. So, so here's what I knew. Mary Ingham married my ancestor, but I couldn't find her parents. Emma Ingham was her sister, was born in 1876 in Todmorden, Yorkshire. If I could find Emma's father, then that would be great. So I put in Emma Ingham. I put in March 1896 to 1900. And yeah, I put in the marriage and I clicked find and I got a whole lot of answers, just a whole lot. This is just one small snapshot of the answers. But of all the answers that I got, and you look at the place, you look at the registration district, there's only one in Todmorden. So that's the one I ordered. And this is what came. And now I know her father is Ormerod Ingham. I think I can follow that name because that's going to stick out wherever I look. So this was a really great find. I've now got Mary's father and Emma's father. So
let's say that you were not that lucky and you had 4 or 5 in that same district. Are you going to order them all?
Right. You try to narrow it down by looking at census and church records and just seeing if you can find any clues to narrow it down. But barring finding good information like that, yeah, you may have to order all of them. And
Okay.
I've ordered a fair number of certificates that don't end up being the correct one. But hopefully you can narrow it down using census and church records. So how do I get these certificates? We go to www.gro.gov.uk. And this is the page you will see. It's the General Register Office. And you can see it does a lot of things. You can order a passport there. You can, if you're a UK citizen. Anyway, you can see order certificates online. That's right there in the front. And that's what we're going to click on. When you do, it's going to ask you to register or log in. So you're going to, first time you do this, you're going to need to register. And we'll show you how to do that. But you can see little Visa and MasterCard things here. Yeah, it does cost money. So under frequently asked questions, here's a little schedule for what things cost. Basically, you can get a full certificate for £11, which is about $15. And you can get a PDF of a certificate for £7, which is about $9. Pretty reasonable. The PDF will be there very soon. For some reason, marriage records take longer and because they mail them to you. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they haven't digitized them yet, so they can't just make a PDF and send it to you. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so you're gonna register. You're gonna just really follow the instructions on registering. Once you've registered, you'll log in and you get this page, and you'll see on the right-hand side, you're logged in because the option is to log out. So, and you want to click on place an order. So you start the application. Where was the event registered? England or Wales? That's what you're going to say, England or Wales. You're going to say what type of event it was. You're going to click on that. You're going to say, I know the GRO index reference. No, I do? Okay, yeah, you do after you've looked at FreeBMD. So here's the application that you'll fill out, put in the year of, you know, I chose a birth and I put in 1847. You put in the name, and then it asks for the GRO, the reference information from the GRO. You're going to put in the year and the quarter. Remember, we talked about the quarter. That will show on the FreeBMD website. The district name also shows the volume number and the page number. That's all on FreeBMD. And so you just have to keep a good record of that and put that in at this point. So those are the GRO reference details, basically. And you've got those. This tells you, you can choose whether you want to pay standard or you know, if you want it faster, it's going to be a lot more expensive. A PDF copy is great. It comes like in 4 or 5 days. I love it. They don't give you the full certificate though. I don't know if you noticed on the death certificate, it was kind of cut off. That's what you get with a PDF, but all the information on there is included. So it's a nice, inexpensive, quick way to get your certificate if you hate waiting like I do. And this is the next thing you do. You put in the number that you want, and then you put in a reference here. This is purely for your reference. So you might want to put, birth of so-and-so, and then you submit. Click the submit button and voila, you've done it. You've ordered your certificate. That is basically it. I know I went really fast. Are there any questions? Do we have time for questions?
Just the website for ordering again? I didn't get the whole website.
Oh, sorry. No. Let's see if I can find it again. Where are we? Here we go.
Okay, gro.go.uk. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? This is